Hey, what's good? I almost had to cancel this because the session was giving me a hard time, but I think I got it figured out. These computer programs and plugins and OSs and, authorization systems, they just sometimes create some headaches. I have no clue. I last opened this session last year, and when I printed out all the stems for doing the Atmos mixes, and yeah, I haven't opened it since, and I meant to do it yesterday, and things were just crazy, and I didn't get a chance to do it, and so I've been sitting here for about 40 minutes trying to get this session in a playable format for today. So yeah. Anyways, hey, Starkey here. We're doing track breakdowns of all the new records that are coming out very soon now, May 16th on Vacuum State, my new record on Android's Dungeon Radio. See who's going to join in today. The more the merrier, but, whoever's here, appreciate you being here. Obviously, I'll be, I'm just jumping on here to make sure I don't miss the Twitch. I'll be continuing these. The next ones, I'll let you know at the end today. I think next week I have the schedule as well. I'm trying to get through at least all of the main tracks before the record comes out next week. So next Friday. But anyways, let's dive into this. The track we're going to talk about today is Racing. And give a shout out to Not Sure in the YouTube chat. Hey, thanks for joining in. Let's jump into this. So quickly, I've been starting these all the same way. This is the Android's Dungeon Radio Bandcamp page, and you can pre-order the record now if you're interested. There's a limited edition 12-inch vinyl. It looks great. It sounds great. And if you pre-order the digital or the record now, you'll get the first two tracks we did breakdowns for, Cannons and Martian Code, today. And the rest of these tracks, we've done a breakdown of Burnt and Equinox. Now we're moving on to Racing. And next week we're going to do Harm. And those will be all the original songs on the record. And then I'll also talk about mastering one of those days, hopefully next week. But I'll have to look at my calendar, the schedule. My days have been crazy lately, just so busy with stuff. So, but I'm loving doing this. I'm having a great time. I love talking about records and making records. Hey, what's up, Jeramaki? Welcome. Thanks for joining in. We're gonna start breaking down this track, Racing. So, Racing is the song that we used for the initial promo. It has no beat necessarily. It has no drums. It is more of a kind of modern classical crossover synth record. And let me tell you before I play the tune, the issue I was having is some of these authorizations on some of these plugins and just where it thinks sample libraries are. It's just, for some reason, broken today, and I don't know why. So, for example, Noir, which is a Contact piano library, it shows up installed, it shows up authorized in native access, but for some reason opens in demo mode or can't find some of the samples. So I have to go into native access and figure out some stuff. But let me just show you. This is... See, it's showing up in demo mode. So for some reason, it's missing the sample library. So luckily, I have stems of all this stuff because we did Atmos mixes of these records. And in order to do that, we stemmed out all the parts. And all the remixers did that as well. So for today, have just anything that wasn't working, I put in the audio files for. So you'll see here there are 4 audio files that are playing, and I'll talk about the plugins that I use for the things that aren't showing. But yeah, I just had to get this working for today. Also, the violin patches, for some reason, weren't showing up either. Like, look at this. It's showing in demo mode with no GUI. I just don't know. So what I did is I reopened them in a different version of Contact, and I came as close as possible to, I think, to matching the patch. So I've replaced those as well. So you might see some things where like things are muted and stuff. Some again, these things here are bounced out. There was one other thing that was causing me headaches down here at the end. Another one of these Contact libraries just acting up for whatever reason and me not being able to figure out why. So there might be some issues with panning with these as well. I'll talk about that. But it's as close to the record as possible given the crazy things that yeah, that happened a lot in the lab. Yeah, Jeremaki's talking about at CCP at Community College of Philadelphia. I don't understand what is going on. It happens with a lot of Contact stuff, native access. I just don't know. I'm not really sure. Can't explain it. I do have samples on multiple libraries in multiple folders, but it authorizes it and it knows it's where it is, and I'm pointing it even when there's missing samples. I'll point it there, but for some reason things are opening in demo mode and I don't know. So anyways, let's listen to the record. And then we'll talk. So the record is approximately, it's a little bit longer. It's about 5 minutes-ish, a little bit over 5 minutes. So I'll shut up. I'll play the record. Also, today, I moved some of my hard drives into a new enclosure because, you know, when I'm like making music, it doesn't really bother me. But for the streams, I noticed like a lot of fan noise. There's going to be more fan noise today, even within the enclosure, because there's more hard drives. I couldn't move things over to SSDs and stuff in time because of the problems I had. So I apologize. I'm trying to minimize like all the noise in the background for these as well. All right, let's play the record. Here we go. Let's hope it plays. So that's Racing. Hope you liked it. So this like style of this song is very much in line with some of the things I've been doing with tunes, like going back to like Transponder Orchestra and the track Planes. If you ever listen to that one, it's like there's like one chord progression or one idea, and that one had the I don't want to play it because then they're gonna copyright strike me or whatever for my own tune. But it just keeps getting passed around different instruments and kind of like played around with. Like there's thanks. Hintershrimp said this is fantastic egg making music because said making eggs, and I said maybe this is good egg making music. So passing this like idea around, having some variations on it. I don't know if it goes back to my interest in like minimalism and like when I was in college and I started really listening to like John Adams and like Philip Glass and stuff like that, where you get a lot of repetition and it's all about the chord progression and how those chords change or how those instruments change. I think that might be it. That might be some of the foundation of that, my interest in that. So that's how this record is. And I've done a lot of this over the years as well. There's the last record, the last EP that I did on No Remixes, my label, In Love During Flight was the single, but it's called Human Extinction. And most of these tracks are built around that. In Love During Flight is that it's like this. There's a hook, the hook is this pulsing rhythmic thing, and it just kind of gets passed around to all the different instruments, and it just builds and builds and builds. And that record's 11 minutes long, but it just keeps, it kind of cascades down and then comes back up. I've actually heard people play parts of this record in sets, which is kind of cool, like as like almost like an icebreaker, like beginning or end of a set, or like in the middle when they're going to change tempo or something like that, because there's really no beat necessarily. Same thing here. There's obviously a pulse. It's very rhythmic, but it just doesn't. It's not a track for making people dance or something. I guess you could dance this 100%, more like modern lyrical dancing. So let's take a look at what's going on. There's one cool thing that I did here that I haven't talked about yet as well, which is using Mir Pro. And so that we'll get into in a little bit. So we'll see how things grow here. So the very beginning is a contact patch. It's a raw strings patch that I pulled in. And what's it doing? So this is just ambient stuff. A lot of reverb. I'm using Soothe 2 to basically remove some of those really rich harmonics. You can do this with FabFilter Pro Q4 now as well. There's other plugins that do it too, but this resonance suppression, just to kind of get rid of some of those really ringy sounds. So I've got that going on, and then there's just some EQ. There's a low pass filter that just is automating a little bit. The opening piano, again, I can't show you the patch. It is a noir patch. I do have some resonance suppression on again, and a little bit of EQ as well. But the track itself, the bounce sounds like this. It's a really good sounding sampled piano. I prefer sampled pianos that have a little bit of character to them, a little bit of noise to them. I like hearing the felts. I like hearing the beaters. Even if it's a clean piano. This new record that I'm working on right now, I recorded upright piano, so it's all live, and it sounds like way raw because we could, mic it the way we want to, and the piano noise is all in there, which is really cool. We hit it with an SSL compressor as well. But yeah, this is kind of clean, right? So that's the opening, and it kind of tells you what's going to happen. There's a few other elements that come in here. There's some bells. And they're from the Felt Instruments Helenko patch called Rosemary Was Right. And then I'm just hitting them with a little bit of compression. Actually, a decent amount of compression. I'm using the Townhouse bus compressor, which you can see I always have on my master. That's like the final thing I do before I bounce out my records for mastering. I like this one. I've gone through phases. I've used the SSL model. I've used the glue compressor. And now, lately, I've been using this one. So that's like my go-to. What's going on with this? Vibrato strings. This I think... Oh, so this is a Olafur Arnold's Chamber Evolutions Spitfire patch. With a little vibrato. They're just swells. And then the voice is something I bounced with an Echo Boy on it. I don't know where this is from. Can't tell you, I'm sorry. It doesn't look like... Unless it was up here on one of those things, since it's not playing. But there's just a little slappy delay on it. So that's the opening, right? And then there's a big pause moment. Everything mutes. And then the new part starts. Okay, so I can tell you I 100% remember this. What I started writing this with was this patch right here. So it's called Random Pit Stuff. Now, I played it on the piano first. You can see by the MIDI, it says Piano Noir. So it was on this Noir patch up here that I wrote this. And then I just copied it over. But the main first element of this was 100% this Reason synth. So this is their physical modeling synth called Friction. And it models violins, violas, resonant bodies. If you have Logic and you use that, you may use their plugin, which is called, I'm just forgetting it off the top of my head, Sculpture. So it's a physical modeling synth. So what this is doing is just mimicking that plucky pizzicato violin. And what I'm doing is switching between pizzicato and Colegno. And you can hear there's there's artifacts. Colegno, if you're not familiar, is playing with the back of the bow. Colegno Trata, where you play with the back of the bow and hit instead of plucking with the strings. And it has a different sound. So what I'm doing is just automating back and forth between those with an LFO. And that is, like, again, creating some of those artifacts in there too, but making it so it doesn't sound exactly the same every time. If you just had like a basic pit every time, it would sound not as raw. So then after that, I actually used the Isotope D reverb, and you can hear what that does. I'm removing some of the space. Now, I could have just removed the reverb plugin here, but there's a reason why I did this. I must have liked what was going on with the reverb plugin. You hear that? So I must have liked what it was doing to the tone, but I didn't like how it sounded like it was in a room or in a space. So what the D-Reverb plugin is going to do is dry it out. So it's going to remove a lot of the ringing. So now it sounds like you've tight mic'd that violin. The eggs came out great. I told you this is great. Thanks, Hint of Shrimp. What kind of eggs are you having? Are you having scrambled? Over medium? What? You're making me hungry too, because I didn't really eat this morning. So that's what I've got going on so far. Again, I like it that this record is so different than the other ones, and we're getting to see a lot of other plugins. So I'm using the iHeart New York Baby Audio plugin. I think this was a free plugin at one point in time, because I wouldn't have bought it. This wouldn't have been something that was on my radar. I think it might have been on Plugin Boutique or something. You buy this or free Christmas package. I don't know, but it's a cool like parallel compression for doing that like ultra heavy compression and then blending it with the dry signal. So I'm compressing it pretty hard. 12 scrambled eggs. Nice. Okay, there we go. For meal prep. So then I've got it going through the Vienna Mirror Pro 3D. Now you can hear what that does. So this is placing it into a space using convolution. And if you've never used the Vienna Mirror Pro, this is what it looks like. And it can look a lot different depending on what room you use. So this is basically, if you've ever used any of those UAD plugins that allow you to place an instrument inside of a space, like one of the studios, like the Capital City Studios or whatever, that's what this is, but geared towards classical music. But it works great with software instruments. It also works great with acoustic instruments as well. I use it when I mix the Fairmount String Quartet stuff. If you ever listen to any of the Fairmount String Quartet records that I've mixed, they a lot of times are recording in a studio, pretty dry, and we're getting the room. But if I want to place them into an atmosphere that sounds a little bit more like a space, I'll use a concert hall instead of a studio space. So this is a studio space, the Weller Studio, Weller Stone Room. I don't want to click on this. Can I? I don't want to ruin my. Here we go. That won't ruin it. So this is showing you the studio. I don't have a ton. I only have a handful of concert halls and studio spaces that I use. I have the Teldec studio models, the Orff, and the Studio Welder. This is the Weller. This is the one I'm using right here. And then I have, I think it's the Vienna Concert House. I don't want to click on it because it's going to screw it up. But this is basically the studio that they modeled. And you're basically placing your instruments into this space. Now, I know it looks like a jumbled mess, so you can hide the instruments once you place them, and you can do everything from stereo width to microphone placement and everything in here. So these are the microphones that are being used and modeled in this space. So I'm getting rid of that reverb sound, right? And then placing that instrument into an artificial space to create my stereo image. So you can hear it without it. It's just really dry. And now, it's really dry. And now I've tilted it over to the left a little bit, and it actually sounds like it's in a room that like I've sort of designed. I didn't design it, they designed it, but you know what I mean? Like, I can decide what type of microphone models to use and what space to put them into. Hint of Shrimp said, could I potentially use this plugin to show me what I would sound like if I ripped a massive fart inside the Vatican? I don't think they've modeled the Vatican. That is, or buildings in the Vatican. They're, but yes, you could. It's just like any convolution reverb. So like Altiverb or any of those, right? So, it just allows you to place things as well. So if you've never used Altiverb, it's just a convolution reverb where they've modeled concert halls and you can place your instruments inside that. This is just allowing you to, on a map, right, physically move and do panning as well, like in a I don't know, a GUI environment, which is kind of cool. Then I've got some EQ. And then I've got a gate. So I really am trying to like create a sense of the sonic character of the sound I want, but really control the amount of sustain or release of the sound. I want this to be short, but I want it to have a certain sound. So if I remove all these plugins, you can hear what it sounds like. And this would be fine if I was going for something that was just like in a space, but I'm layering it with a whole bunch of stuff. And I want it to be nice and short. So that was the first sound I made. Then I started copying that MIDI. And you can see it's manipulated. It's not always the same. Some things are only playing certain notes. Some have different release times or the notes are longer. And that's all because of the different sounds or the different instruments and how they react to the notes. You're gonna try and get that setting. That's funny. I mean, you can ask them. Altiverb has weird settings like the inside of like a Boeing 747 cockpit and stuff. Like if you're doing a movie and you need to like add sound design, it's kind of funny. So then I started figuring out some other sounds. So here's a pizzicato string from the raw strings. Listen how dramatically different it is. So So this is the raw sound. And then I ran it through the D-reverb. And then I placed it in the Vienna. Give it some panning. You can hear it just completely changes the tone. It's not just reverb, right? It's EQ as well, because it's affecting the tonal characteristic of the sound, which I don't know. I think sounds great. Did a little bit of EQ. So that's that sound. So these two together work nice. Here's the bells, or the Celeste. This is a Helenko by Felt Instruments. This is just the basic sustains, and I ran it through the same D-reverb plugin. Just trying to get rid of that release tail to make it short and snappy. I'm almost like using it how you would use a transient designer, and you would like take the sustain back, right? So you would like increase the attack and then pull the sustain back. That's what I'm doing, using the D-reverb for here. I've got a solo bassoon patch, and that's just Berlin Woodwinds. Just a staccato bassoon to fill in that sound. So all of them together. You don't really hear the bassoon by itself, right? It's just now when I've pointed it out, you're like, oh yeah, I hear it now. And then the piano comes in, and we drop the Celeste. So we lose that top end, and now we're filling it out with upper mid-range frequencies. And there might be some automation. Nah, no automation right here. So then we're gonna drop out we're gonna keep the piano in. We're gonna drop out the bassoon, drop out the solo violin. Oh yeah, I should talk about that. I didn't talk about that. So that's just the Stradivari violin patch, pizzicato. Just add another layer. Doing the same exact process with this. D-reverb, and then Vienna. Without the Vienna. With. Losing a lot of width. I'm making it more mono. Next, we get viola spiccatos. These are from the Spitfire solo strings. Alright. And we get some sub bass. Right? So that's bass synth. And I just loaded up this like one bass patch. This is definitely not this preset. This may have started here, and then I just started taking things off and left it with just this bass tone. That bass tone, wow, sounds completely different without the plugins. Let's listen to what's going on here. So a little bit of bass roll off, a little bit of harmonics there. This first harmonic there. Then I'm bringing back the bass using basement to do that. It sounds different. Hear the difference? So getting rid of and then bringing the bass back in with basement just has a completely different nature to it. Also, this clarity knob scoops out and does this like inverse check mark sound, which helps to make the bass, the sub bass, more focused. And then I just hit it with a limiter to control the dynamics. And this harp sound from Cinematic Instruments, is just a patch, right? And this one has a lot of sustain. What's it sound like without the plugins? So I'm using Sculpt from Adapter Audio just to increase the transient, to make it snappier. Without, you can hear it dramatically different. Then using the parallel compression, and then bringing out a little bit of top end with the Fresh Air Slate plugin. That was a free plugin too at one point in time. Yeah, I think they didn't want to call it D-verb because of the Pro Tools, you know, stock reverb. But yeah, it's D-reverb is a bad name. All right, so you can hear just changing the tonal color of the sound. And here we get a big change here too. So we get a bass clarinet. And that's probably just Berlin, yeah. We have a Juno patch. And I'm using the Cherry Audio DCO 106. I have a Juno 60 here. Sometimes I use that as well, but this time I just opened up the plugin and used that. What's this doing? Let's see what this sounds like. Oh, that sounds way different. So that's the bass patch. Opening up the top end with fresh air. This is a plugin I never use, so. This was a free plugin as well. The Shaperbox 2 Drive. I don't remember when. It was like, oh, you know, they just want to get your email address. And I used it. I think this is the only record I've ever used it on because I probably was working on this and I was like, oh, I got this new plugin. Let me try it. And I'm just using this for a little bit of distortion, a little bit of modulation here. But yeah, that's it. I'm using Shapeshifter for upwards and downwards compression. You can hear what that does. It's taking the peaks and pulling them down and then bringing up the bottom end towards the threshold as well. Kind of like what OTT does. I talked a lot about this in the last stream. And then a little bit of EQ to lower out the bass. And it's very nasally. This is nice and open. The stock plugin. Oh, Deverb. Yeah. So in Pro Tools, the main reverb is called Deverb, but it's like, I think it's just I've been doing this forever. Yeah, it's just D-verb. So that's why they didn't call it that. But yeah, I used FL back in the day, like when I first started making records, FL version 1. It was called Fruity Loops then. And I used Acid version 1, which was made by a company called Sonic Foundry. And then it switched to Sony, and then someone else bought it, and then it turned into something else. I don't know. I had a PC, you know, this is like many years ago. What else is going on here? The lap harp stays in. The sub bass stays in. So this is that same Reason rack. It's just changed, modified. So I made a new version of it. And look, it has an expander on it to try and bring the sustain down. Listen. So what the expander does is the audio drops below the threshold and it makes it quieter. It's like a less extreme version of a noise gate. Again, just to try to tame that, what's the word I'm looking for? That sustain, that decay. I want to like control that and make it tighter, snappier. The drum computer, again, this didn't load for whatever reason. This, I did pull this up though, so you guys can see this if you're not familiar with this. It's a Sugar Bytes plugin, and it's a drum machine. I don't know, again, why it didn't load. I gotta figure this out. But yeah, it's a really cool drum machine that has synth engines in it. If you haven't tried it out, it's, you know, a lot of times I see it on sale for less than $129, but it has its own built-in sequencer as well. And I made this with it. Right? And all I'm doing with my EQ is just rolling off the bottom end. A little bit of compression, a little bit of EQ. And then using Decapitator to crispy it up a little bit, make it a little bit saturated. You can hear without that, it's doing a lot. I said this song doesn't have drums, right? I guess it's not. It's acting percussive, but it's not a drum. It's not like how we think of like kicks and snares and such. So this is the first like big crescendo. Hinto Shrimp said, I still use version 20. Okay, makes my PC howl in pain slightly less. Yeah, so I had Fruity Loops version 1 and Acid version 1. Then I moved up to like Acid 2, 3, and 4. And then that's when I bought a Mac and switched over and started using Ableton and Reason. So I have the discs for Ableton version 1 and Reason version 1. And I learned Logic. It was Logic 5, if I remember correctly, when eMagic still owned it, before Apple bought it. When I was going to school in London, they were using Logic. At school in the States, I was like using Pro Tools and tape. And then I don't know. I never vibed with Pro Tools. I use it obviously in my professional life. I have to use it for certain things. I just don't. I choose to not use it. If I'm making records, I'm using Logic. I also like Ableton. I used to use Ableton with Rewire when that was a thing. But I don't make records on Ableton. I never like start a song. I use it for doing certain things. I vibe with Logic so much more, and I've been using it since version 5. So I've been using Live for that long too, but I've always, whenever I have to make music, compose, produce, whatever, I open Logic. I don't even think about opening another software. Like I have Serato Studio, I have other things. I have Reaper installed too. And that's mostly for video game stuff. A lot of video game audio people use it, so I have it here. But yeah, I never use it. DSP Quattro I use for one specific thing. If someone needs like records that overlap, or like think like Dark Side of the Moon, where there's like records that have to bump up against each other, and you're making CDs, or even if you're not making CDs, you want to cut tracks so that everything has like a flow to it. I use DSP Quattro for doing that. Not sure. The disc. Yeah, I do. I should get them out for a stream once. I should here's the discs. We also have Sound Designer 2, which was before Pro Tools changed its name. We have the floppy disk at the college, at Community College of Philadelphia. We have the Sound Designer 2 discs, which is kind of funny. All right. Anyways, enough talk of that. Right, so we're just building this, adding 2 new layers. I'm using Cypher 2. If you're not familiar with it, it was an FXpansion synth. I think Rolly bought FXpansion now, or some. I don't know. It's been, maybe this is years ago, but it's now authorized in the Rolly thing. I don't know. It's kind of annoying, to be honest, but it's a cool, really cool synth. It makes great sounds. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's got this cool mod matrix up here, and I really like it. I just the authorization and stuff with the I hate logins and stuff. Cherry Audio's plugins are really cool, but I hate opening up a session and then having to type in my username and password every couple weeks. I just can't stand that. I'd much rather use an iLock. I got to be honest with you. I'd much rather have an iLock. I was all right, it's got my licenses on it and I have insurance on it or whatever. It's so much easier than these other companies. I'm sorry. If you're gonna have copy protection, you got to make it user friendly. Whatever. So that's what this sounds like. Right, the raw patch. So I've got some EQ to get rid of all that bottom end and top end. I'm using the effects version of Serum. Why am I doing this? Oh, that's interesting. I'm using the hyper mode to add some voices, some unison, some reverb, compression. I probably was just let me try something. I never use this. I never used the effects version of Serum, but I did. So I was probably just like, let's try something. That tends to be how I produce. Really hitting it hard with the limiter. You can hear that kills the transients. And then, yeah, using a gate. I like the unfiltered audio gate a lot. I use this one. This one and the FabFilter gate. They're like my go-to. But you can hear, without it, you hear all that reverb and decay. Hear that? It still has the sense of the reverb, and then it's gated. It's kind of like an 80s snare drum, right? Like the gated reverb sound. So if I remove the Serum effects, you're hearing the space, but you're not getting the tail. So yeah, that's what I'm doing there. It's all about controlling the sustain or decay level. That's what I'm doing on all these things, if you haven't noticed. That's what it's all about. For this record, at least. So here's the Kniff Onium. I've used this on, I think, another record that I've already shown. It is a digital model of the real hardware Kniffonium. It is like a tube mono synth that's crazy expensive. But they made I think it's a 4-voice or 8-voice version of it in Plugin Alliance. It's a cool sounding synth. And it's got their effects chain up here at the top. So, because it has multiple voices, you can play chords. So what am I doing with this? Let's listen. EQ. I'm using the Yum Audio Spread Light just to add more stereo width to the track. I'm using an expander instead of the gate to just pull back the sustain, so when the audio drops below the threshold, it makes it get quieter faster. And then I have it going through the Vienna, so it's mixing in with the other instrument patches, right? So it's going through the Vienna Mirror Pro, and again, this looks like a mess right now, but you can hide things. So if you're using a small space, so this is where it is. This is where it's placed. This is where the microphones are. So you can see this is the left and right width, and there's these other dials mean different things like blend, volume, dry wet ratio, and you can hear it's centered if you're wearing headphones or listening on speakers. And here I'm tilting it over to the right a little bit. So you can... I love how these synths sound together. Hint of Shrimp said, I learned to use Reaper first and just use it for tracking vocals. Yeah, I mean, it's probably just great for that. I haven't really done that with it, but I can see it working great. Mainly because I was a metal vocalist before I was a producer. Oh, cool. I used to play in hardcore bands. In high school, I was in a band called The Ultimate Warriors. And if you want to hear me playing on some hardcore records, all this stuff in here, they're all like 30-second power violence hardcore songs. I played bass in this band when I was in high school. The members of this band, not all of them, I mean, the band changed a little bit, but a lot of the members of this band are Piss Jeans now, if you know those guys. They're on Sub Pop. So, yeah. I was in this band when I was in high school. And like I said, a bunch of other guys went on and formed Pitch Jeans, who are on Sub Pop. Okay, yeah, I love like old school hardcore. I like some metal too, but I was more into like Charles Bronson and Devola and like Jasmine, and like Jasmine's more like was like a French like screamy power violence, like or screamy emo band, but I liked a lot of the kind of really screamy hardcore stuff like really short records and stuff. I should do a stream where I whip out my record collection because it's pretty wild. Locust, even people like that, I was really into. All right. Hey, Calvin. Thanks for joining. A buddy of mine swears by Reaper to get his very specific guitar flavor. How to do with the clipping. I don't... We could get into nerdy stuff here, but like, I have a really good friend who's released music on my label and also Civil Music named Kotchy, Kotchy. And I remember the first time I went into his studio, this is years and years and years ago, in Logic, he would clip every channel. Like every channel on his mix would be clipped super hard. Because basically what you're doing then is kind of, again, it's changed a little bit with 32-bit and 64-bit processing. I'm not a computer nerd. I understand the basics of what's going on, but you're that, like the anti-aliasing filters and other things that are going on internally in your DAW. He just liked the sound of that, and his mix levels would never be clipping at the end. It was all control with buses and such, but the individual tracks were like plus 12. Like you couldn't even like look at the meters at all. You couldn't use the meters for any kind of leveling. And my feeling is if you know what you're doing or you are happy with the sound and you can like recreate it, then it's awesome. I'm all about like learning and understanding what you're doing so that you can recreate it in another setting. But that's pretty cool. Hey, yeah. Thanks for joining, Calvin. Appreciate it. Good to see you here. I've been doing these just for like this new album, and yeah, it's been fun. It's been a few people jumping in that I know, and people I haven't seen. The other day, someone jumped in who I hadn't seen in like 10 years or whatever. So all right, so what happens here? This is the break basically. Those are crash cymbals. There's an Albion 1 cymbal swell here. So this is, I call this chiller. So this is just a slightly different variation on this Kniff plugin. And you can hear it's a lot softer. And now I start bringing in some melodic ideas, because up until this point, except for the intro, there's been no melody. It's all the bum, 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 bum. This like rhythmic element that just keeps repeating. So now I'm going to introduce some melody. All right, that's interesting. That's what that sounds like. Yeah, so this is a random contact instrument called Colorform Metal Rattle. How did I come up with this or using this? I don't know. Again, it could have been like, let me find something I haven't used in a while, and I go in here and I just start... I have tons of stuff. So it's like, all right, I haven't used this. I don't know. What is this? I may have even forgotten what this thing is. And just like, all right, let me see if I can make a sound with it. So that's this. Oh, that's doing a ton. So I'm using Biome. This is Unfiltered Audio's multi-effects processor. And you can basically add in your own modules. So you can just like hit plus and add in a new module and change what that module is. It could be a delay or distortion or whatever. And have some pitch shifting going on and reverb. And down here are your modulators. And you can just like literally click and drag and add modulation. I don't have any modulation going on, but it almost is like your own like little virtual Euro rack for effects. I mentioned this the other day. If you don't have any of Unfiltered Audio's effects plugins and you're like interested in it, I recommend getting Triad because it's a multi-band version of Biome, and you can just turn off the other bands and you basically get Biome. So it's better to just, if you want to buy one of their plugins, get Triad. But Basement is my favorite of their effect plugins. Hey, sorry, I had to make a call. I just heard your response, and yes, I do want to hear you in Hardcore Records. Yeah, just check out. I'm playing bass on all those tunes. I closed it, but the end. I didn't play on the earlier records. Where you are? I was 16 years old. So all of these, I'm on all those records. Not the early stuff. Okay. Maybe it's just bass. I used a declicker. I wonder why. Oh, there's some artifacts. Do you hear that? Listen to that. Hear that? It's weird. It could be the instrument. Who knows what's causing that? It could be some... So I put a declicker on there to remove that artifact. Yeah, it's clean now. It's funny. It would have been something that I would just like, when I soloed it, it was like, this is annoying. Some compression with some makeup gain. And then a little bit more reverb. Hear that? That's a pre-delay of 85 milliseconds. You can hear that slap, right? Without it. With. So that, again, everything has been so tight and so dun, dun, dun. And now during the breakdown, it's all washy. So we get like sustain for the first time. Yes, sir, I hear them, they're artifacts. Yeah, I mean, it's just... It would have been one of those things I'm like, what is that? What is that? Just a solo violin thing. Again, this is a Spitfire solo strings. It's going in Vienna Mir again. I thought this track breakdown was going to be the shortest one. It's turning into probably the longest. So these are just swells from the chamber waves. So the cipher comes back here. I'm just using cipher for that transition. Right? Alright, so all these instruments are back, right? All those guys, for the most part, are back. The drum computer's back. The voice, the little Peepo voice is in here now. That's, this synth. Again, this is one I had to bounce for whatever reason. So this is a Clevgrand voice synth. This is called Japan. I bet you this is that Native Instruments. Yeah, so it's the Native Instruments Yankin. I'm not going to pronounce that properly. But it has some plucked Japanese instruments. I've got the poly mode going. And this is the Cherry Audio one. This is big. It's not as big as the other ones, but you can hear without the EQ and stuff. I'm using the sausage fattener. I haven't seen that in a while. This, if you don't know it, it's a cool distortion compression thing that Data Life developed with this other company. And if you push it too hard, it sounds stupid. But and his face gets meaner as you increase the fatness. But it's like a 3-knob thing, and it does the trick sometimes when you want to add a little bit of grit and a little bit of volume. And I put the room reverb on. Yeah, sausage fattener. It's a classic. It does a thing. Mallet plucks. So this is just doing this repeated thing from the Mallet Flux library. Just to add another layer, another texture. So what do we have for this lead? We have 3 elements that are being, bussed together to create this lead. Let's listen to the first one. It's a Glock. So this is a old Spitfire library. The Frank Riccati Glockenspiel. And I'm using the medium soft mallets. Is that what that is? Medium soft? Mid soft? I don't know. I don't even know. What are we doing processing wise here? Some resonance suppression just to pull out those ringing frequencies. This is what it's pulling out. Right. And then we've got a Lindell. This is the API channel. A little bit of gain reduction, a little bit of EQ. These channel strip plugins are funny because I use the SSL 9000 a lot on kick drums, but I don't use them very often. I have a few of them, and then I just again, I'm like, I haven't used that in a while. What should I use? I'll grab that. Piano lead, what's this? Calvin says, I love plugin design. Good ones, I guess, right? So this is a Sonu Score piano called Low Key. I've rarely used this, but it's a contact instrument. Sounds felted. I like it. It's like very short. I should use that more often for something like Touch of Intimacy. That makes sense. That's a good name for the preset. So that's going on. And then this might not be identical. This is one of those plugins that was off today and I had to recreate it. But this is the Stradivari violin. I just left it on the virtuoso setting. I don't know if that's what was used because this is how it loaded up today. What are you talking about? It's activated. Look, it's it's right there. This is a different version of Contact, but this is Contact 6, right? Because this is saying 7 available. Why is it? I don't know. So stupid. So the 3 together, it's right there. Oh, the question was, how do you feel about the plugin Cthulhu? I have it. I rarely use it though. That's the X for Records one, right? I don't even have it installed on this machine. I have a license for it. I just don't have it installed. So I got this machine last summer. So some things I didn't pull over or I didn't transfer over from the old machine. That's I think some of the problems with opening this session. So yeah, I don't know. But I do have it. I haven't used it in forever. So as you can tell, so I should install it. I'll try it for sure. I think it doesn't it do chords as well, so you can play one note and it'll play a chord progression or something, and then you can also you said arpeggiate it, right? So you can arpeggiate within the sample. Oh, doesn't it have a bunch of Bach sonatas or something installed or right? Hold on now. I didn't spell it right. Yeah. Yes. I remember this. Yeah, I have a license. I just haven't installed it. It generates chords and arps. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think this is one of those fun things where it's just oh, a happy accident. It does something that you're not expecting it to do, and it works. It's kind of like that with sequencers too. The sequencers on some of the Arturia synths. You're all right, I'll just do something, and it's not what I would play. Not sure says it has a bunch of stuff. It's pretty dense. Yeah, I'm gonna install it. I'm gonna 100% install it when we're done with the stream. And because I have a license, I know I do. All right. So the end here, we now have an oboe to add another texture. So not all the notes are either playing or I muted them. It could be because it's hitting a different place, but this is the Claire oboe. I played oboe in school from 5th grade to 9th grade, funny enough. And I can't play it anymore, though, probably. Give it to me, I'm like, what? Alto flute. Let's see what that sounds like. Alright, so that's melody. I'm a big fan. I love this record. Like, this is the kind of music that I enjoy listening to. Not that I don't enjoy the other records. I just like this kind of thing. I like rich, cool chord progressions. I'm a huge fan of chord progressions and melodies that fit in a way that you don't necessarily think that they're gonna fit. So here's a serum patch at the end that big sounds like a CS80. A little bit of decapitator. A little bit of brightness. Again, this is creating that space, that decay, which is missing the whole song. You know, that having sounds resonate out. Hint of Shrimp said, I played clarinet in school because of Squidward. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I started on clarinet, and then I moved to alto sax, and then I moved to oboe, and then I really started playing bass. So I played string bass and electric bass, depending on what like if it was... When I played jazz, I played upright bass, and then was in bands. I played electric bass. Played... mostly this guy. So this is my Washburn Bantam 6-string, which has no finish, right? So it's just natural. I mean, it has something, but it has it feels natural. I love this bass. I was just playing it the other day on a record that I'm producing for someone else. But yeah, that's what I played in the hardcore band too. So the 6-string bass. Okay, so yeah, this just filling that out. I love the melody here, right here. It's just like writing orchestral music. That's basically what I was doing, right? Just writing a melodic line that fits nicely with these things. I love this end too. So what is this? This is an old plugin that I've used a ton on records. I know what it is right when I saw the name Wrench. And the GUI didn't show up properly. It's the ATO Wrench Spiel. So it is a sample library they made of basically like a glockenspiel that's made out of wrenches. And the GUI isn't showing up, but there's a whole bunch of different articulations. And it's one I've been using it on records all forever. So when you hear it now, you'll probably like, if you listen to some of my old tunes, you'll be like, oh, that breakdown there has that sound. It's this. This one is one with no tone whatsoever. The tone is completely taken out. It literally just sounds like the person hitting a piece of metal. Some of the other ones have tones, and they sound more like glockenspiels. So I'm using that. So we just go back to the solo bassoon. And the sound that's, you know, one of the sounds that started at the beginning. And then we have this little voice thing. And it just ends. So, yeah, I mean, that's the tune. It sounds great on the record. Actually, this is one of the tunes when we, you know, the test press came in and was like, yeah, this sounds really, really solid on vinyl. So that's a track called Racing, and it's going to be out next Friday on this record on Android's Dungeon Vacuum State. If you want the 12-inch, you can pre-order it on their Bandcamp. Just type in Android's Dungeon Radio Bandcamp and grab a copy. You can also pre-order the digital if you want to support that way, and buy the digital. You'll also get 2 of the songs now. I will point this out. I did this last on Tuesday as well. Centauri's got a 12-inch coming out in June on Android's Dungeon, and I did a remix of a track called Shark. And I'm hoping to do a breakdown of that song too. I'm gonna ask. I haven't asked them yet, but I'm sure they'll say it's yes. You know, it's cool. But I'll do a track breakdown of that remix as well, hopefully in the near future. But that track is pretty vicious and pretty mean sounding. It's one of the, I don't know, the meaner records I've done recently. So Calvin asks, sorry if you covered this, but how are you getting that really dense sound on the high percussive thing at the end? The high percussive thing at the end. Are you talking about this sound? Is that it? I'll play it I'm playing it in context. Is that the sound you're referring to? If not, tell me and I can try to. That's it. You know, there's a little bit of a delay here. It's kind of a bell. Could it be the voices? No. Oh, I never talked about this. We missed this up here. There's a one-note piano bass thing that's happening. The piano shorts. I like how the note changes there. It's good. That's the pizzicato strings. It's probably not that. The viola spiccato, which we haven't heard except for early on. This is the sub bass that has a little bit of attack. You can hear I brought in some other things at the end here. We missed this stuff up here. So yeah, this is. It's got a little bit of portamento too. A little bit of dynamic EQ, basement, my favorite, and a little bit of limiting. Is it any of these, Calvin? That? That's the lap harp. Quiet One with a Short Decay. Oh, there's a synth called yeah. There's Cypher 2 was in here earlier, but maybe it's the Polymoog. Hold on, listen. Is it that? That's that super compressed. Yeah, that's the whole point. Is like it all kind of gets jumbled together. So these two sounds are doing that together. And this has no attack. There's these mallet plucks. I don't know what it. I can't. I mean, I think I've soloed everything that's in the tune here. A lot of times it might be multiple things together are creating a sound or a texture that you're hearing as like one thing, but it's not one thing. It's just multiple things coming together. Is it the Juno? Maybe it's a Juno. Is it that? That's the noise in the Juno patch. You can hear, right? Like on its own, it doesn't sound very percussive, but that shh sound, right, cuts through and mixes in with the other. I have to. Like almost those two things get combined in the track. At least when I hear it, that's how I hear it. Maybe even this. Like by itself, this sounds wussy and nothing's happening, right? But when I added that in, you can hear that just adds that little bit of extra harmonic, top end that sounds cool and fits. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm hitting it here. Sorry. But that's all the elements, I think. Unless I'm missing something. There's obviously the piano. And the piano has felts. So I'm really bringing out the beater sound. Is that it? That's it? The piano? Okay. Yeah, so I can't show you what this is because it didn't open properly. It's saying it's in demo mode, even though I have it installed and I have it in native access, but it is a Noir felt patch. And then I won't even open. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. It won't open it because it's in demo mode? Or is it because it's not active? Hold on. There we go. All right. So what am I doing? I'm bringing out all the noises, right? A little bit here. The color's a little bit darker. There's no reverb really. Release samples are on. I don't know. I may have messed with the EQ a little bit. A hair more stereo image. I'm using the pinned meters compressor, which is like their ultra hard compression. No particle engine. And the reverb is just a vintage digital, but it's barely being used. Is it even on? Yeah, it's on. Yeah, I don't know what on off is with these buttons. There we go. That's on. That looks on. So yeah, that's all it is. I wish I could turn it on and mute things and stuff, but I can't. I'm lucky I even got to play this. So This is why making stems of your records is so important, right? When you're done, like if you finish a tune, it's one of the most painful things to do. It's a waste of time for the most part, but you never know when you can't open up a patch or open up something because some plugin authorization doesn't work, or you don't, if with Native Instruments Contact 5 right now, you can't use it. It's like not usable. Even if you own Contact 5, I've read threads of people just trying to be like, hey, all my library's open in demo mode, I can't get it working. So whenever I have to open up a session and I have to recall something and I use Contact 5, I have to like get my old computer out, plop it on the ground here, and bounce those parts, hook up a hard drive to it or whatever. It's so painful. There was one tune I actually had to recall recently that had Contact 5 on it, and I just didn't even bother. I just literally remade the sound or something. I was just like, I'm not bothering with this. Yeah, but you should always make stems of all your tracks. It's something you should get in the habit of, because you never know. At least you have the audio then. You never know what's going to happen with these authorizations and if things will actually work later. Cool. Switch back to this. So I'm gonna eat lunch because it's 12:20 here on the East Coast, and it's been lots of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this record. I'm also gonna watch the Manchester United match later today. We stink this year, but if we win this one, we might make Champions League next year, right? Come on. Gotta have some hope. So for the next one, I'll just tell you now, if you're here or you're watching this back, the next one is, I'm hoping to do 2:00 on Tuesday the 13th. So that will be, and then I'll do a stream for release day. I'm trying to do that. Actually, no, I can't do it now because they moved my kids' thing because of rain. Oh, God. Well, I'll have to let you guys know. I will try to do some kind of stream on the 16th. It might be in the morning, the day of the release. It's going to have to be in the morning. So, yeah, next Tuesday the 13th, I will be doing Harm. And Harm is a heavy record. It's Amen break, warbly bass, kind of in lines with Cannons and Burnt, but more straightforward than those tunes. Cannons is pretty straightforward. Very little melodic elements. It's just mostly drums and bass, but it's like at hardcore speed, so it's not 160, it's 140-ish, and yeah, that's gonna be the tune I do on Tuesday. I'm shooting for 2:00. I'll post it up on socials and on YouTube when I know what it's gonna be. Calvin said, I'm looking forward to the record. Yo, Calvin, just shoot me a message. I'll share it with you. Cool. I'm looking forward to it too. I've gotten some really good responses from friends of mine. I've sent friends, the other DJs and stuff, the record, and they seem to like it, which is great. I mean, you've been hearing almost a lot of the songs. You haven't heard any of the remixes though yet. You'll hear those next week. What was it? Black Box. If you're in the Denver area, we're doing a record release show in June. It is June 13th. Tickets are available now. I'm going to be playing like a 90-minute set, mostly original stuff probably. I don't know. The last show I did was all original stuff. I don't think I'm going to play all original stuff. I want to play some other people's records and do some mashups. But yeah, Black Box to June 13th with Sinistar, Muxmul, and Siva. And yeah, it's going to be fun. Just like hanging out, playing records, having a good time. So what else? I think that's it for today. Actually, I was just sharing my screen like you guys could see it. What am I, stupid? I'm just Sorry, let me pull it up. Still getting used to this. I haven't done this stream thing for very long. So yeah, here's the show. So Black Box Denver, June 13th, 9 to 1, 9 to 1. And like I said, I'm planning to do 90 minutes at this. Should be fun. So yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone who was here. Thanks Hint of Shrimp, Calvin Fusel. Not sure. Anyone else who joined in the chat? Jeremaki. Oh, I missed J Money in the Twitch chat. I'm sorry. I apologize if you're still there. Hey, what's up, man? I completely missed looking at the Twitch chat for whatever reason. He had said, "Is Biome like Portal?" Oh, good, bro. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you're still there. I'm so sorry. I need to sort this stream stuff out with the chats, and I've not really had too many people joining in on Twitch because there's more people who have subscribed on YouTube over the years. But yeah, so let me answer your questions. Is Biome like Portal? The answer is it's more than Portal. So Portal is just a granular effects engine, whereas Biome is filters, distortion, all of the above. So it does lots and lots and lots of things. I'm trying to see. Let me just open it here. And again, they also have one called Triad. You can get it on Plugin Alliance. Triad is multi-band. So it does have a granular engine. You can go in here and add a granulator. The GUI isn't like Portal, where oh, it looks cool. It's just the basic fundamental things: the grain size, the size deviation, right? If you know what you're going after, you can have a sample and hold or an LFO controlling that, right? So, why is this not working? I'm sorry, this is the output. Those are inputs. There we go. So here's the output of the frequency, and I can control the amplitude. And let me just put this at the end here. Is it because there's no audio passing through it? This should be moving. Maybe because there's no audio passing through it. It's one of those logic things. But anyways, I can't find the one that's open. But yeah, it has that. It has a filter. It has dynamic. It has compressors, limiters. It's like a complete multi-effects unit. Mallet Flux is my favorite library. Oh yeah, that's the one that I used for those mallet things. I don't really use it very much. I got to be honest, but I used it here. It's got that kind of arpeggiated stuff going on, lots of layering. Yeah, it seems cool for this. It works for this. If you're doing that kind of thing, you got a lot of versatility. I haven't used it very much though. So yeah, hopefully, I would get, if you're in the market for it, I get Triad instead. Because Triad is multi-band. And you can just remove the bands, and now you have Biome. So it even says Biome. There it is, right? So you can break it up into high, mid, low. Or you can just use one of them. So you can get rid of the low and mid, and then change, I'm doing it like the boring way. But you could basically get rid of these and just have the high, and then just use the high, and then you kind of have Biome. Yeah, I think right here. Oh, here. You can break it into two bands. Can you do it in one band? Oh, you can do 3 times parallel. There you go. So do 3 times parallel and turn off the other ones, and now it's biome. I would get that if you're like in the market for it. Triad. Oh my gosh. Triad. What is it? How much? Do not pay $150 for it. It's usually on sale for like $30 or less. So just wait for it to be on sale. All the unfiltered audio plugins are great. They make great stuff. They're all great. I have all their stuff from here. I did Mega Bundle back in the day, and then I just bought the stuff I want. Yeah, a Lo-Fi AF is basically like a RC20-ish, but more versatile and sounds better in my opinion. Lion's a really cool synth. I do not have Battalion. That's the only thing of theirs I don't have. It's a drum synth. I don't have that. These are all their effects. Silo is more like Portal, actually. So if you're looking for something that is more like Portal, Silo is that. It's just a granular engine. So, and it has a interesting GUI. You should try the Sonoscore Medieval Lute and the Orbo. Is it the Medieval Lute? Or maybe it was Lute. All right. Check it out. This is it. Other phrases. So it plays like phrases. Sounds of nights in taverns. All right. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, you can play your own melodies. Okay. Yeah. If I ever get like hired to make D&D, a D&D game soundtrack, we'll whip those out. All right, it's been fun. It's been 90 minutes. I'm gonna go eat lunch, and I have a bunch of things I have to do before football later. So, thanks guys for joining, and hopefully I'll see you next Tuesday at 2:00. If something changes, I'll make sure. Yeah, I post about it on Instagram and stuff. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Bye.